Alderman Schmidt. Here. Alderman Tom Grady. Alderman Ted Grady. Alderman Rapella. Alderman Nichols. Alderman Eisenach. Alderman Sevenick. Alderman Hammond. All are present.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I'd like to approve the minutes for the Administration Committee on 2/20/23.
Second.
Aye.
Thank you. I'd like to pass to Council Resolution R-92023, the resolution establishing a fee for keeping of chickens in the city of Menasha. Would you like me to include the permit fee costs in this? Okay, thank you.
Certainly. So at the previous council meeting, it was adopted to allow chickens within the city of Menasha, the keeping of chickens. And basically that laid out a process where as of the first year, they would need to obtain a permit fee. There would be, in addition to that permit and that application, site plan and structural reviews, there would also be a pre-inspection done. So what we are proposing is for year one to do a permit fee of $30, which is very similar to a residential accessory structure that you would look at installing in your backyard, and then a $50 pre-inspection fee. Each subsequent year then, how the ordinance is written is they would need to obtain a license similar to a dog or cat. And what we are proposing is a $7 basically per flock of chickens or per group. And that is in correlation similarly to a neutered or spayed dog or cat. Again, upon the first year being approved should be where a lot of the staff work considering for the zoning consideration, the inspection, the paperwork that needs to be filed. We did check with the finance clerks regarding the processing time for fees ongoing, and they did feel like, again, the $7 was within reason and in correlation with our other fees. We did include everything from our comparing communities. And as you can see, a lot of them do vary, but we would be more in line with the city of Appleton, just again, a reduced annual fee. We also put right in the resolution that failure to obtain a permit, there would be a double permit fee. And then again, from an annual license, very similar to the dog and cat, if they fail to obtain by April 1st, it would also be a double licensing fee.
Oh, am I? Okay. All right. Sam, one question for you. So we're paying $7 per flock, so that's actually like $1.16 per chicken if they get, right? No, I did that wrong. $7 for 6 chickens. Well, yeah, it's $1.16 per chicken. But what's a dog license? How much does that cost?
$7 per dog.
But that's one dog. So if we got 6 chickens, shouldn't it be like $42?
That's why this resolution's in front of you. This is a staff recommendation.
Okay, so I mean, I'm just scared, throwing that out there. Otherwise, maybe we need to raise the dog license to equal what the chicken license is. Or, because the dog license is only $7, but that's one dog. So I guess we'd have to reduce the dog license to $1.16. Stan would like that, to make it equal. I'm just throwing that out there. Also, suppose they don't pay for the license, the year 2. For year 1, they're paying 30 plus 50, plus 7, correct? Okay. And then year 2, they're paying 7, but if they forget the 7, then it doubles to 14, correct, Sam?
Correct?
Okay. Not much of a fine for skipping year 2 to double it. Maybe we could add a little bit more bite to it.
The double does not preclude us from revoking license or following through with citations or anything of that matter. Basically, this is just again, a very similar process that we would look at from a dog and cat, and what we are looking at as far as kind of putting our time into it for follow-ups and things of that nature.
Okay. I guess I have a difficulty with the $7 for the flock. If one dog costs 7, 6 chickens should cost more than $7. That's all I got. Thank you.
Certainly, and again, a flock of chickens will be enclosed into one area, and I mean, it will all act as basically one. So it doesn't matter from us if there's 4 chickens in that chicken coop and run or 6 chickens. It's the same amount of, work from a staffing standpoint.
Well, I'm going to push the button and see who comes up next.
Oh.
Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Chair. So, Sam, right?
Yes, Director
Help
Schrader.
me out here. So the first year, you have the permit fee, which is $30. And then, of course, you do the inspection of the chicken coop and the chickens and stuff. And that's done annually or once every 2 years, or just the one time only? Because when I read the ordinance, it almost sounded as though the ordinance itself said that there would be an annual inspection.
I don't believe the ordinance states there would be an annual inspection. I don't have the ordinance in front of me, but I believe the discussion was an initial pre-inspection, which is done prior to chickens actually being in the coop, as well as the permit being issued. So that is number one. We do reserve the right to follow up with any complaint. I believe right on the permit application that we're drafting, as well as the ordinance, I think it states within a reasonable time or 24 hours, one of the two, that a health inspector and or designee can actually go out there and inspect.
Yep.
So that opportunity still is there if we believe there is issues with the housekeeping of those animals.
Okay. I don't have a problem with the $7 flock fee. Dog license is $7, but if it's not spayed or neutered, it's $12. So let's make sure everyone understands that. Here's, I might be out of order here, but so here's our fee. And it comes to basically, if you want to have chickens starting after April 1st, it's $87. So it'd be $30, $50, and then $7 for the flock, correct?
The license fee doesn't start until year 2. Per the ordinance.
So it's $80 the first year.
Oh,
$80
gotcha.
and then
Oh,
70.
I don't think that's right. I think it should be 87. It should be the $7, just like getting the dog license too. So there should be a flock fee too. But anyways, so that amount is $87 basically. The fine, let's say someone decides to have chickens but not get their permit, is $98.80. So I am going to come in later on. I'm working with the city attorney, also with one of my colleagues, and we're looking to change that. I just wanted the rest of council to know. Because, what's the incentive then for someone to come in and get a permit? So I think the fine should be at least double. So some have suggested $500, but I'm not going there. I just think there's just like, that was kind of my biggest argument from the beginning about chickens, or one of them, was that I'm afraid we'll have the same situation. If you read the last police blotter, we had 4 dogs that were running at large. 1 bit a kid, and none of them had their license. I want to make sure that we start taking these things more serious, and we are discussing chickens tonight, so I want to address that. So I think I had one other point. Pardon?
The power of chicken.
Yes, blue chickens.
I would like to add to that one of the things we are discussing internally and hoping to bring back to this body in the future, as well as the common council, is to look at a reinspection fee, basically to assist those that continuously don't want to follow the rules, and continuously then, each time we go out there, they don't come back, they don't get the license, they don't get the permit, they don't clean up the trash in their yard, those types of things, to much more proactively give our code enforcement the tools necessary for them to do their jobs. And so again, we're hoping that will be coming in the future, and that will greatly help in this matter, as well as the discussions with citations, because we can go around in circles and talk about citations as well.
Just, this will be a trial, so I'm good with this for now. Like you said, same with the softball thing. Maybe we need some time to figure out what those fees should be. Same with, what was the other one that we just discussed that you had talked about? The scooters, sorry. Someone said birds and I'm thinking chickens.
Me too.
But the bird scooter too, I think, I had hesitation about it too, because, Alderman Hammond mentioned some constituents' concerns. I think some people just hate them. So some people have very legitimate gripes, but it's a learning process. So I think this too is going to be a learning process. So I'll vote in favor of this for the time being, and maybe we, down the road, kick the can, as they say.
Or kick the can down the road. Alderman Eisenach. Hang on, I have to push this button. There we go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sam, I'm pretty sure you just answered my question before I could ask it, but so currently if somebody calls and there's an issue and an inspector needs to go out there, there currently is no fee for a reinspection, correct?
Correct.
So how can we go about, because that's taking more of that inspector's time and we pay that inspector to do that, so can we make an amendment to add that in now?
Not at this time.
Okay.
There's a lot of complexity with that. We get a call that somebody's not happy. They're not happy. There's black mold. Well, we go out there, there's not black mold. There's peeling paint. We go out there, do an inspection. So I think there has to be some sort of initial consideration, because again, that's why we are employed,
Right.
to provide this service for the city of Menasha, and then we can move on from there. So I do think.
So if the complaint is found legit, can we initiate a reinspection fee? at that point?
So what we currently have, again, I think is if a complaint is found legit, here's your orders to correct that. And I'm speaking for probably Christine here and her staff, there is an order to correct that. If they don't correct it,
Okay.
that is what we're looking at.
And that's what you're going to
The
bring back to
conversation
us?
of what that entails. And that's not just for, chickens, that goes for everything that we're hoping to have those discussions. We just want to make sure, again, it follows the correct procedures, the statutes, and our abilities to do and insert an inspection fee such as that.
Okay, but that's what you were talking about, that it should be coming back to us hopefully soon.
Correct.
Thank you.
And then lastly, while I have the mic and I can't stop talking, I want to add that this is brought to you through a resolution because basically the resolution was inserted directly into the ordinance. And so that's why what you have in front of you is a resolution, and some other fees don't necessarily come by resolution. Looking at statutes, impact fees directly would have to go through a certain process. But I just want to add that because I know there has been some fees that have recently been adopted, and I'm sure there's going to be future fees, and that's why this one specifically is by resolution because the ordinance stated.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm hoping Alderman Schmidt comes up next, but I don't have control of my board right now, so it's Alderman Rapella.
Good. Hey, I win. All right. So Sam, one concern I have is, so you inspect the chicken coop year one. Most of these houses are going to have fences. So how is the neighbor going to say that after year 5 or 6, that chicken coop is literally falling down? And they still have chickens. Am I supposed to look over the fence and then report that? As a neighbor, I will have to go out of my way to do that. I would like to have, like every 2 years, city inspection of the chicken coop.
I guess I would add, when's the last time the city was in your house to inspect if it was an adequate condition? So I think there's some trust that you're maintaining your house similar that everyone else is maintaining this. Now, if chickens get loose and we discover that this chicken coop or run is in disrepair, then yes, we will, I think, follow up with that. But I don't think the guilty until proven innocent factor should be followed here. I think we should trust our citizens that they're going to continue to maintain and provide an adequate housing for chickens or a dog or themselves.
Alderman Schmidt.
Oh, wow, it did come up mine. Thank you. I just want to express some of my concerns with this. As everybody knows, I voted against this in the first place. I don't believe they really belong. I had a lot of people from my district tell me the same. Number one, I have a real hard time lumping chickens with domesticated animals such as dogs and cats. They are not domesticated animals. They are not pets. I'm sorry, they're not. They're farm animals. They're called farm animals. But I have an issue with the $7 flock fee. Again, I understand trying to do a permit as far as the 30 and the 50, but I have a real hard time with the $7 a year afterwards. And again, the fine, and I understand that, yeah, this has to come back to try and tweak some of these fines if they don't have licenses. But again, I kind of look at it like all this came to us to vote on chickens, and I did state this quite clearly that the one thing saying yes chickens gets 100 more other questions that have to be answered. So to me, the cart went before the horse in all of this. And these are all things that should have been already hashed out, not necessarily put in place, but already agreed upon, that if this did go through, this would be the process. Now we already said okay to all these chickens, but we don't really have a good process in place, and we don't have a really good court enforcement in place or the tools to help them do this. So we don't have the backup, which is very, very frustrating to me because I believe our job is to do it and do it right, not chase our tails, no pun intended, after the fact of somebody not doing something. We needed to cross all the Ts, dot all the Is prior to this, and we didn't. So I'm very disappointed in that. I just think it was chickens, chickens, chickens. It's not just the chickens. There's, like I said, 100 other questions that come out of, yes, we should have chickens. The only time we wouldn't have any other things to do if we said no. If we said no, then we don't have to do anything else. But once you say yes, we now have all these other things, and we need to be able to educate, our citizens who want to have chickens to the people who don't want chickens. This should have all been, like I said, all thought out a whole lot better than what it was. So I'm sorry, but I can't support this in any way, shape, or form. Thank you.
Alderman Hammond.
Thank you. I just kind of want to echo the same point that the director had brought forward. I think there needs to be a level of faith in our neighbor and our constituent to be good stewards of their property, be good stewards of their flock. There's an awful lot of bad dog owners. There's an awful lot of bad parents. There's an awful lot of bad cat owners. To insert some process where every couple of years you go re-inspect or put this level of accountability that neighbors need to be peeking over each other's fences and tattling on each other and those kinds of things, that just puts this level of, I don't know if paranoia is the right word or something to that effect, but I don't think that needs to be inundated into this conversation. This resolution's pretty straightforward as it is tucked away into the ordinance, which we had a sunset date put for April 1st with the intent that we would have this fee established. So I just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you. Director Schrader, you mentioned that the $7 per flock is in line with a spayed or neutered dog. Was it cat as well? Or just dog? Okay, dogs and cats. Is that a number that is set by ordinance, or do we get that number from somewhere else?
I believe that fee is established by the council.
It is established by the council. I don't know the number offhand, but the county does retain a portion of that $7.
Okay.
But we can raise it above the 7, but they still would get a portion of that per animal.
Thank you. I was just curious where that number came from. Do you recall the last time that that was considered? Okay. And that's fine. No worries there. All right, seeing no other discussion, we have a recommendation to forward this to the council. Alderman Sevenick?
I think I'd like to kind of see what your opinion is first with my colleagues here. I just find it, I think it would be less confusing if we just had, you came in, you paid you had your permit, okay? And then obviously year one, you do the inspection, and then you also would pay your $7 flock fee. I don't think it's appropriate to wait another year and then come in because they say, well, I didn't have to have one the first year or something like that. I think if it's understood that the flock fee is every year.
So that's all set in stone by ordinance. So that's not what's
Okay.
on here tonight.
But
It isn't?
I think I understand what,
There were no charges in the ordinances.
The process of getting a permit year one, getting a license year two, and subsequent year was established already by ordinance. And the reason is again, a license allows us to maintain and keep track, accurate records of what is out there. The permit fee in year one does that for us.
Okay.
Because we're going through that process.
All right.
That's why, again, there's a higher fee amount.
on the other hand, if I were an applicant here, you mentioned earlier that the proposal was in line with the city of Menasha, city of Appleton, whose annual fee is $24 and a one-time inspection fee of $70. And if the license is all included in the first go-round, would it be more easily understood if the permit, if the zoning review was $24 plus $7 for the annual license? Or is that not acceptable based on the ordinance that was passed last week? I just don't want people to get the impression that they're not paying for a license the first year. And that's okay, I just want to clear it up.
So I think that's why, again, we're not putting the cart in front of the horse by not having these conversations before the ordinance, is because now that we have an ordinance established, we need to now put hundreds of hours of work in to establish the process, establish the permit application, the fees, to pull up comparables.
I just want people to
I do not
understand
think we
that-
need to discuss a license and a permit fee in
Okay.
year one. I think that adds to a lot more confusion, especially about how the ordinance is laid out and how we can establish that within the permit language.
Okay, I just want people to understand that their initial permit fee covers the license for the first year. So that they say, well, I didn't have to buy a license last year, why do I have to buy one this year? I just want people to be really clear about that and for us to be upfront about that.
Correct, and again, that is what, we're drafting those application documents right now, and that's one of the things right on there that they're gonna sign, understanding that,
Okay,
year two and subsequent year, they are required to pull a license, and the permit is good for the first year.
great. I think that's a good point that Alderman Sevenick brought up, and he brought it up better than I could think about it over the weekend, so.
I'd like to see that document then.
So seeing no further discussion, we'll take a roll call vote on recommending this to Common Council.
Motion carries 6-2.
Thank you, and with that, we'll look for a motion to adjourn. We have a motion by Alderman Schmidt and a second by Alderman Tom Grady. All in favor, say aye. We are adjourned.